Okay, cool. So RB just typed the question. Let me see here. Does Brave have a bigger marketing plan to hit the goal of 50 million users this year? Hit those numbers. Have to have 5 of the biggest back-to-back months. How is that possible? I think, one, yeah, there's a big marketing plan that the team's working on. Two, we also have to execute effectively on the marketing side, and our team is working on that. And I think that, it's going to take, a lot of work, but I'm pretty confident that we can hit it. Let's see. Jensen asked, when will BAT become deflationary? I think, if you look at where we're at with total circulating supply, or total supply and circulating supply, we're getting closer and closer. We have new features like swap and other things that are coming out that are, going to help bring additional rewards opportunities. And as we grow, BAT becomes fractional over time. So, all these things kind of working together should help. I don't have a specific date. I think anybody that would is full of shit. So I'm not going to give that to you. But yeah, I hope that helps answer the question. Let's see here. Parker asked, Parker too, I've seen the ads. I am sorry that I haven't responded to them. I want to run through them again. I think that the Lion one you did was like really awesome and kind of in the ethos of 4chan. But I need to take a deeper dive into some of the stats. I'm super interested to look more closely at that though.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, they're pretty cheap. They're like, I don't know, 8 cents for 1,000 views or something. So, but they were mostly just for a fun thing anyways.
Do you know what like the click-through rate is on in them by chance?
Yeah, I can pull them up right now. It's paused because I haven't added more money to the pool, but the cost per click, I mean, they're made to look as scammy as possible for fun.
Yeah, I think if they weren't, it would not sit so well on 4chan. So I thought it was like brilliant
so
how you put it together.
The main one, the Le Shill Lion one, the cost per click was 2 cents, and the click-through rate was 0.36%. So a lower click-through rate, but that's more than offset by the really low cost per click.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I thought it was so cool that you were doing that, and I'd always been kind of curious. So, yeah, maybe we could take a deeper dive too on our next call, like to go over it in a little more detail. But and I'll run through what you did. I was actually on vacation last week too, so when some of this stuff was coming in, we just got lost in the ether. But I've been catching up on that stuff. But really cool to see like the initiative and. Yeah, I think it's probably not anything we would have ever done on our own. So it was cool to see that you're getting some positive, engagement on that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think a few people have donated some more BAT to it. So I'll probably start it up and try to get it to 1 million views. Though if anyone in the chat wants to like make an ad and send it, we can add that to the ad roll.
Le Shill Lion. Love it. That's awesome. Awesome, cool. And then Salty42 is asking a question about when will we launch the new wallet and when will swap get the BAT LL for use for the fees. Okay, so new wallet, I think right now I checked in with the team. They're looking at like September for kind of the overhaul release. I don't have a specific date. But we're looking at that. We've got a bunch of people working on it. It's, I don't know if you guys have seen the flags for it. I know I mentioned it on some of these calls. You can take a look in Brave //flags and just search for experimental wallet and it should pop up. You can get a kind of a sense of where we're going with the UI UX for that. I think the thing the team's been putting some time into like how the rewards interface will look within the wallet. And then, there's kind of a mix of right now, if you go to Brave rewards, Brave / rewards, it has both the settings and it has also kind of analytic information all in one view. What we're kind of moving towards is having a lot of the transactional info kind of in the wallet. and then also moving some of those Brave reward settings into the actual settings of the browser so that they're searchable and easier to access. And one thing we're putting a lot of focus on is basically like, feature discovery across the board. So like a lot of people didn't even really know that we had the legacy crypto wallet that's in our desktop browser. And so we're putting, we have to surface these features better to our users in order to get, more adoption and more revenue, et cetera. So a lot of effort going into that and into retention, et cetera. So, these are not the most exciting things, but they are critical for, getting a product ready for, as much scalability as possible. So, it's not necessarily hype material, but it's, progress. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Like September is when we're looking at the overhaul, and it'll be desktop and mobile, which is another big move, right? Like having both of those things, out on desktop and mobile and having them pairable is neat. So let's just check the other questions here. If anyone wants to jump in with voice questions, please do too. I'm just going to scan the chat.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Drew on a mobile. Thanks for taking my call, Luke.
Yeah.
In regards to the new wallet, I know there's that NFT tab having just jumped in, to the deep end of NFTs. Can you kind of explain what that's going to be, or what, or how that's going to work, and those kind of things?
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things, and I kind of was like leading an effort here that started, last year, where it was kind of one exploring, like, because we were all tuned into CryptoKitties when that was blowing up, but it was still really early. And then last year when, NFT started to heat up again, we started to do some more exploring on this and partnerships with gaming, et cetera. What we kind of ended up coming to the conclusion with was that, our current crypto wallet has, like, you can go to OpenSea, get set up and do stuff through OpenSea's wallet, basically like linking your wallet through OpenSea. But like, we don't have good support for transferability for NFTs and things like that. And so part of what we're doing with this new wallet is creating an NFT experience that is native. It has transferable feature capabilities, so you can, move NFTs as you need to, like without having to do that through a separate wallet. And also kind of coming at this approach from like, okay, we're a browser, right? Like it's a middle layer between Web 2, Web 3, and what cases do we have with NFTs beyond just simple artwork? So you're looking at like gaming, potentially around DeFi, other areas where, all the press fame is around kind of like these, auctions and things around these flashy art use cases, which are cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like I like them, but really, like, there's a lot of stuff we could do with NFTs and a browsing experience. Like you could have, we could reward people that are retained users with NFTs and do it by browser version, so that you could be collecting these NFTs the longer you're a Brave user, right? And they could have secondary value, do whatever there. But just to circle back, because I know it's kind of getting off the rails there. What we'll do is we'll have a dedicated NFT section in the wallet. That'll be kind of a hub for NFT discovery. So you could see us going to market there with partners, whether, could be partners like, potentially the biggest ones out there, right? Like, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to have people say, oh, confirmed partnering with blah, blah, blah. What I can say is that, like, for an NFT marketplace, right, they could talk to Brave. We can do a couple things for them. One, we have, 34 million monthly active users. One of the biggest active crypto user audiences on the planet. So there's this discovery capability by just us having a big user base. But the other thing we can do that's pretty interesting is a lot of these NFT marketplaces, they have really shitty abilities to, if you're an artist, get discovered, or, for surfacing, specific artwork and things like that, or even just searching for things is kind of hard. So what we can do is we have marketing channels in the browser where we can, promote a set of artists that these marketplaces are working with, or promote the marketplaces in a different way, promote specific pieces of artwork, specific drops, things like that, that other, these NFT marketplaces want. So there's the utility angle, and then there's the, kind of art angle, and we can provide value to both of those that these marketplaces can't really get elsewhere. Now, does Brave do something like have our own NFT marketplace? That could potentially happen in the future, but I don't think that's not what you're going to see initially. I think what you'll see is like Brave is like a really big audience, right? We want to put like the best marketplaces up front and center for discovery. So, we're engaged with them already, like a lot of these big players in the space. Some of them are already like Brave verified. So like, OpenSea is a verified publisher, right? Like that's nothing new. That's public information. So, it's a place where people will be able to like learn about NFTs, start playing with them, and it won't be limited to just Ethereum either, right? Like, so as other sidechains or L1s come to market with NFT capabilities, we could see having support for those as well. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, that sounds actually really awesome. So thanks, appreciate it, Luke.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yep. Okay, let's see what we got here. Next question. Can Brave Talk be used in other browsers? Yes, it can. So the cool thing about Brave Talk is, so the way we're going to market with this is that you can basically, if you can accept a call anywhere. So whether it's desktop, mobile, whether it's Brave, other browsers, doesn't matter. If you want to initiate a call, you can either opt into rewards and initiate calls through Brave, or you could buy the premium version of Brave Talk, which will have fuller features, etc. We'll be releasing more specifics around this very soon, very, very soon, actually. These things like Brave Talk and the VPN and other new product offerings that we're bringing to the stack are extremely important because it's new ways. They provide new ways for people to get familiar with Brave that might not necessarily either see marketing or hear about Brave from a friend or whatever, right? Kind of think about how you first started using Zoom. It was very much, somebody sent me a link to this Zoom thing. I'm going to jump on it. And then eventually everybody was using it. So you could see something like that happening with Talk, right? Like, and with VPN, with other features, but especially with Talk, because you're much more likely to try something if your friend is inviting you to try it, right? And sometimes you have to use these things. So it's a good hook to get people in. And I think, from the BAT side of things, right? Like, there's a ton of opportunity here for additional utility, for additional ways to use BAT. I mean, like, imagine you've got a situation where you can peer-to-peer BAT to other people on Talk, or, pay to access a Talk event, or, use your BAT that you've accumulated to buy a Talk premium tier purchase, right? And some of these things might hit at different times, but our head is there to have this as a new utility front for BAT and for using BAT in different ways. So I hope that helps too. Let me check the question list again. Let's see what we got. Is there a plan to offer a service where content creators can offer rewards for BAT, like a Patreon subscribe store? Yeah, Brandon has showed interest in, really expanding out on the creator side with new options. I think what we've been working on are kind of, we have a SKU product that we're talking about, been talking about for a while. The team's been working on it for a while that allows for us to basically, create SKUs that people can use for BAT purchases. You could see us having something similar for creators on that front too, where people could, subscribe to this, or, offload me a monthly subscription of this much. And then map a SKU to that, and then have that, kind of just monthly go from your wallet. You can see other options too for creators to earn through the browser. I think this is all fair game. And I think with the way we define creator too, that's something that's pretty fluid. It started off with publisher websites, and then we added YouTube support. And then we broke it down to even Twitter, Reddit, GitHub, so now open source code maintainers can get rewarded. You can reward projects, developers, etc. I think that there's a huge opportunity for us with NFT creators, right? Like, we have such a big audience of existing creators that could learn about NFTs and like start to utilize, some of them maybe have been earning BAT for a long time, have it sitting there. It's an opportunity for them to kind of get familiar with NFTs if we can present it in the right way. I think there's also an opportunity to go straight after people that are already creating NFTs too, and show them that, hey, like, we've got a ad platform where, you're seeing, 8% or more click-through rates on things. People are finding out about, creators and content and, new products through our platform is crypto heavy, yada, yada, yada. Like, I think there's a ton of opportunity to kind of like add new creator cohorts to this. And our team's actually working on, what new platforms can we add and what new ways can we do this now too. So yeah, a lot of activity on that front. Let's see here. Next question. Brave now holds your Vax passport on the browser. No, I don't think so. One, I'm hoping this isn't just a permanent thing worth the development effort for something like that, but we'll see. Let's see here. Any thoughts on increasing scarcity of bat through burning some of the supply? There's been a lot of discussion about that. I think that there are other ways that we could increase scarcity aside from burning bat. I think we already have like kind of a finite supply of bat in market anyway. So what you could start seeing are ways that we can, have people with the swaps, earn rewards based on, how much they're doing and having those go out monthly and other ways that we can kind of help to play with that with DeFi to, remove some of the circulating supply or have, sinks for it, et cetera. So I hope that helps. For those who pay in fiat, how are their BAT purchases going to be batched? For advertisers, I think this guy asked a question. Anyway, yeah, okay. So how are their BAT purchases going to be batched? Yeah, so basically, like it's a mix of things. Like we bill out advertisers on a standardized billing cycle. So there could be a period of time. Some of the BAT purchases are made based on. I mean, they're made when we receive the dollars back to buy them. So there's some delay between when you see the ad and then when that BAT is purchased, and it's not necessarily in the same cadence every month because we have BAT coming back. I mean, we have dollars coming to us from campaigns on a regular basis throughout the month. So, they aren't set scheduled dates. Usually it's when we reach a certain threshold, we'll buy it. Yeah, not a ton of additional info on that one, but we won't buy it until we actually receive the funds to buy it with. So I hope that helps answer the question. Okay. Oh, going through self-serve. Okay. So yeah. Similar thing with self-serve though, compared to what we're doing with direct buys, self-serve will most likely be prepay so it'll be a little bit more of a regularly occurring thing when we add self-serve because you'll have people that are prepaying. Who's going to be monitoring self-serve ads? That's a great question. So I've increased our ad operations team, which I oversee. We've doubled in size over the last several months. And we've also been working with groups on the contracting side too, to help prepare for being able to screen ads and vet them in advance along with the advertisers and make sure that, the companies that are advertising are actually the companies that are advertising, because I don't know if any of you all have noticed, but Google recently relaxed some of their crypto restrictions. And then within a week or two of that happening, people were starting to get phished on Google ads for crypto sites. So, one thing we've always done here is do a manual process on authorizing ads and things like that. But that's also part of the reason why we're doing kind of a regional rollout plan for self-serve is to make sure that, one, we're not just like opening the floodgates, because people have a very set expectation around 24/7, abilities to launch campaigns and support for campaigns. And so by doing it regionally, we can, one, make sure that we're ramping up support resources appropriately, and then two, make sure that we have enough staff or eyeballs to be approving the ads that are getting submitted. So that helps. Ryan asked if there will be any more social media apps we'll be allowed to tip on. Yeah, so our team actually, it's a timely question. Team's actually meeting this week about additional options, and I don't have answers on which ones, but we did an internal hackathon, gosh, like a year and a half ago ish. Where some of our interns were basically like, cranking out different integration types. And so, yeah, the team's looking at where else we can, where else we can do it. I mean, personally, my own 2 cents, like I look at what's happening with like Substack right now and with independent media, and there is a real hunger for, new voices to get new or known voices to go to new platforms. And Substack is a lot of folks who go in there. Like, so that's one where I would think it would be really cool if we supported soon, but that's not necessarily what's happening. But yeah, like the creators team is definitely looking at new options for creators. Let me see who answered. Eddie asked who's slurping up this dipperino. I hope everyone that's smart is. What's going to be the killer app for Bat? Let me see here. The killer app for Bat. I mean, like, yeah, that's a great question. I don't even know if it's one single killer app, to be honest. I think that if we can continue to do what we're doing as kind of this middleware through the browser, it'll open up all sorts of, that is the killer app, in my opinion, I think. But also there's so much opportunity. We're in an environment right now that's pretty target rich, as far as like there are a few companies that are doing pretty much everything, and people are pretty frustrated with how that's going, especially with the way that content is being moderated and demonetized in some cases, and just people being suspended in others. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of desire for people to have one, new ways to earn, and two, new ways to surface content. And I think if you look at what we're doing with Brave, both with custom feeds and Brave News, which basically will give people the opportunity to input anyone they follow if they have an RSS feed, and then integrating Bat into that, integrating Bat into everything that we can, right? Like new options and utility opportunities is like huge. So I think we can get past a lot of the compatibility issues that we've been making a ton of progress on, then make it so it's easy to use Brave everywhere, then really go after independent media, artists, creatives, etc. Yeah, I mean, like, free the web. Can a Brave partner with Coinbase so we can get a 4% on their card with Bat? So Brave has partnered with Coinbase in the past. We did with Coinbase Earn. I think what you're likely to see sooner, which it's no secret that we've been working with Gemini on the publisher side. We made that available last year, so publishers could verify with us, or creators with Gemini. And yeah, you'll see that with the user side too. They have a card that they have a waitlist for. You can get 3% crypto back on, and Bat's one of the options you can do that with. So that will probably be one of the options right away. I think it's the right mindset. Like, if you look at what we're doing with ads, in our ad model, like passive crypto earning for anybody without having to learn about what crypto is or go to Twitter to find out that, which, good Lord help you if you do that. You're not going to have much fun. But I think that these passive earning options, right? Like whether it's ads through Brave, or paying with a credit card and earning crypto back, people get that. They'll do that, and it's not a huge learning curve. And then once the markets do their thing, then people start to learn more about it. And it's almost to the point where, everybody almost knows about cryptocurrency in some respect, but, getting people to use it, more and more people are using it all the time. It's a different environment now than it was 2 years ago, like 3 years ago. I mean, I was there, and most of you were too. It was a different climate, both on regulatory side, on user adoption. Now you've got crypto and PayPal, Venmo, et cetera. You've got banks that are, now allowed to transact in cryptocurrency from the regulators, which is wild when you think about how it was a very different game, 2 years ago, where, we were looking at regulators as really the biggest risk, and in a lot of ways. Now regulation is more of a pain. It's less of a prohibition. So I think that, it's an interesting time, and we're right there in the middle of it. And if we can make Brave this kind of like playground for Web3 protocols, to where, okay, maybe like some people don't like the reward system, fine, but like you can use IPFS, you can build your blockchain application on Brave. We support the protocols for that. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, how can we grow this, there, and hopefully they're using BAT. And I think that, the cream rises to the top, and we're just going to continue to grow, and adopt and make it easier for people. When will Brendan tweet about something other than coronavirus? You gotta ask Brendan that one. I'm not. No one's in control of Brendan's Twitter except for Brendan, so I'm not even going to try and answer for that. I don't even have the brain for that one. Let's see here. Did you change the name BAT because will you change the name BAT because of the new use cases? I don't think so. I think that one, we're one of a small handful of tokens that came out in 2017 that's still in the top 100, which says a lot about both the adoption and people's faith in project. I'm always gearing for us. We should be a top 20 token, or even top 10 in my opinion, like given what we're doing here. But the main reason too why it's relevant to keep it as bad as, we created a token that is the unit of account for the attention economy, whether, that attention is being used on a crypto exchange, on, from advertising in the browser, or from any activity in the browser, e-commerce, et cetera, right? So, attention utilities measured, you're using these tokens for things. It's all driven by your attention. So it's, the name fits, it's out there. The memes live. It would be, typically companies only really do these types of drastic name changes when their images become so toxic that they have to, in most cases. Like, look at what MCI changed their name, all these things happen over time, right? Like, we're in the opposite scenario right here where, people FUD all they want. Like, we are not going anywhere. We are building, we are not stopping. We don't have to put on a front. The work speaks for itself. And it's not the most exciting or flashy work sometimes, but who cares if you're hooking the world up to crypto and producing, a platform where people can learn about it on their own time. They can use it right away. Like, that's the stuff that matters. And, seeing some of the attitudes from some of the other browser companies out there around crypto too, it's just like, yeah, this is ours to take. We need to do it. And we have been prioritizing for it. So hope that helps. All right. I noticed PayPal ran some ads on Brave. Have they expressed any interest in offering BAT to their users as one of the options for them to buy? How can I say about this? So PayPal definitely was interested in advertising with Brave. A lot of the reason why is because we have a huge crypto audience of people that trust our brand, right? Like, and want to try things out. I personally would absolutely love it if PayPal would adopt BAT. I think there's a strong case for that. I think the thing to think about with, companies like PayPal and, big established players, right, is it's not just a matter of convincing a champion there or a person on the business team there. These are long processes that require a lot of legal, a lot of buy-in across different teams within an organization. And then they require, even more legal. I mean, like, it's a lot, like the biggest, benefactors of crypto have probably been lawyers because, when you're looking at global businesses, you have to look at how the regulatory landscape is from country to country in a lot of circumstances. So, I don't have a definitive yes, no on what PayPal is going to do with that. I think it's a good sign that PayPal is trying out our ecosystem and has been running ads month over month. It's a sign that they are comfortable with running ads that are tied to BAT utility, which is, when you think about it, every advertiser on Brave is doing something new with crypto, whether it's intended or not, just by using the ecosystem. So, in a lot of ways, that's pretty cool too. So hope that helps. Okay, so this guy has a question. On Twitter, you mentioned that since 2016, your aim for Brave to be your last job. Would you expect for that to be because of price growth or potential for BAT over time? I think that it is, for what it's worth. Like when I joined, I started working with Brave in March of 2016 as on a kind of a consulting basis, and I came on full time later that year. BAT was not even a thing when we were working on it back then. We were looking at Bitcoin as the option for this. Obviously, like new opportunities came to light, and also discovering issues around trying to scale with Bitcoin. We went with BAT, right? Like, and when I say things like I think I want Brave to be my last job, it's basically like, look, like I was running ads for the Super Bowl, like with the NFL, and doing a bunch of things with a lot of big companies, and in a really cool job that was something that I'd gotten to after working for a really long time. But I came to Brave because it was the first time I'd seen a company that wanted to really go after the root of the problem with privacy online in a serious way, in a way that looked at it from a holistic perspective, where it's not just like blocking ads because they're annoying or something, or giving publishers pennies by evading the user's choice. It was like, look, let's make a user first platform where we can also have business coexist with privacy, which no one's really done before in the way that we're doing it. And so that in itself was a big reason why I came here, was to work on something like that. I also think, like, I'm all about what we're doing. I'm not talking like an idiot on Twitter, or far more than I should, because I think there's some short-term, benefit and I'm out. It's because I believe in what we're doing, and I see, I've seen this go from a Word document that a small set of us were working on, years ago, into something that has been put in the hands of millions of people. And the fact that we've gotten this far is a big deal. And the fact that we aren't slowing down and we want to bring this everywhere, is another reason why. I'm not, people can go retire to Google all they want. Like, that's not my motivation. My motivation is to work in this new economy. And, if I don't think about doing anything else really, aside from family stuff, because if I didn't, that would be nuts. But, so I hope that answers the question. I think these things work together, right? Like, if Brave does really well, BAT will do really well. If BAT does really well, it helps Brave out. Like, these things work together. I don't think it's a question of price or Brave value or vice versa. I think it's these things all working together. Building an ecosystem takes time, but we are really serious people working on this, and that all really are motivated to do something important. So hope that helps. All right. Can I add a Q&A feature to Brave Talk so that it doesn't get buried? I think that would be helpful. Let me look and see what you had asked before. Let's see here. All right. What was the best? Oh, Data Guy asked, what's the best way for an open source developer to contribute to Bravenbat? And I think, if you just go to github.com/brave, and then go to any of our repos and start to submit issues or pull releases, or get involved. I mean, we have a strong amount of developer community. I can say firsthand, some of our best people have been hired through GitHub commits over time. So just grab a shovel. I think that's the best thing I can suggest, and head to GitHub. And that's the best thing. And I think that the benefits of that, I mean, and majority of my team are people that just kind of started to work with the community first, and then it evolved to becoming a job. And I think that if you can get people that are motivated to by the mission, that's the biggest and most important thing, because that usually leads to a lot of really committed people that are working on something and get through it. is it likely or unlikely iOS users will be able to earn BAT rewards in the future? So that's a good question. And it's one we've been getting a lot more lately. I think, Brave basically was given a choice from Apple to either, make adjustments or face some consequences. And other companies have been dealing with this too. I think that the best thing that people can do is to let Apple know that they want to be able to have these capabilities, because, we've let them know. And you could actually earn BAT in iOS for a while, before the policy was brought up by them. I think it was a little less than a year after it had been available on iOS was when they threw the flag on it. So, the best thing that would help to make this move forward is by people in the community and the greater public letting Apple know that they want to earn BAT through Brave and through the rewards ecosystem. I think popular demand is the biggest lever that can get pushed right now. When do we start going after Chrome users like fucking savage? Time is now. A lot of love for Joe Rogan from the audience. I think that's really cool. Ryan asked, what is Apple claiming? So Apple, this isn't something that's just native to Brave either. If you look at what Epic Games was dealing with Apple and what other folks have dealt with, it's not specific to us, but Apple has a payment system, and they like to get their cut of meat, and they sent us a list of items that they said were against their policies. So there were a few things around the way that rewards are earned, et cetera. We modified it to work directly to contribute to creators, and that passed. So I think that's the best I can do. I think we did a blog post about it on our website when it happened last year. So that might be able to provide some additional info if you're looking for that. Do you think that Brave should have their own private network like Apple Private Relay on Safari, or do you think that having Tor in the browser is enough? I think that having private windows with Tor is awesome, and is probably does a tool for a job. I think that if you look at what we're doing with VPN, we're going to have a VPN across all of the operating systems pretty soon. That'll help to cover other use cases. People use these things for different reasons, and I think that if I had the option to kind of go that route, I would do it over Tor rather than trying to create something new to relay stuff through. Tor does a great job, and I don't know, but I'm biased because I kind of found Brave through researching Tor. So that's kind of, my bias there. But I also think that, the way to approach this stuff is that, anytime you create a new touch point for data, you're in this space that we're in now. It's like, those come with liabilities and risks, right? And Braves is taking a position of trying to have the maximum deniability over, our users. We don't want to know who you are. I mean, I'm sure you all are amazing people and we can do things like this. This is great. But in general, if we see holding user data, especially if it's unencrypted, as a huge liability and risk, and we don't want to do that. So, why use something else if we've got Tor or a VPN option that is strong? And anybody can use any VPN too. So, there are these options that are there, and I think they're good to use. Did your search for DMT on Alpha Bay lead you to Brave? No, but I was looking into some research and work that our chief InfoSec officer, Yan Zhu, was doing when she was at Tor, and then stumbled across her Twitter profile, and she had tweeted out or retweeted the initial request for comment on Brave Payments, which was our pre-runner to Brave Rewards, and so I saw that, and that was a big deal for me to see, and so that's how I kind of get introduced to it. Random Biztard asked, can you give Apple a cut of the proceeds from BAT rewards on iOS to get them to reinstate it? I mean, I'm not going to get into a ton of the specifics here, but it's well known that Apple takes a big toll on payments that go through, and it's if you're looking at what we're doing here. One, we have a big amount of users, but we also need those users to opt into ads. So you have a big pie, and then you've got a huge chunk of the pie that's we have to convert, and you've got a smaller piece of the pie that is converting. And then from there on, you're getting just smaller and smaller pieces. And from our point of view, I mean, I'm not going to speak for our mobile team or for stuff that might. I'm not going to get too far in the weeds other than saying like the web is open and these services and uses are made to be used on the web. And that's where I'll stop with it. But if you want to earn BAT in Brave on iOS, let Apple know. That's the best thing I can say at this point. Ryan asked, technically speaking, do we have to pay taxes on the earned BAT we get each month? That's something to check with your, accountant on. I'm not going to answer that. One, because I don't know where all of you are at. Two, I'm not an accountant. And three, you don't want to trust what I'm going to say about accounting. Talk to your financial advisor about that, because it will definitely be different from country to country, I'm guessing, but these are small amounts too. It's not like you're earning, thousands of bucks and are, kicking up your feet and eating Cheetos on Brave for a living. So yeah. Cool. Yeah. Random Biztard, please do repaste it if you get a chance. Okay. Blackalaka, and have you considered using Cosmos SDK to create a blockchain network for Bravenbat and Brave Rewards in the future? I think it would be useful for giving extra utility for BAT on its own network and rewarding holders who trust the plan to secure the network by staking and have an unbonding period for 2 more weeks. I think I'm not around using Cosmos SDK. I'm not sure. I think, we are exploring options around, there are some options for wrapping BAT as it is, right? And I think that if we look what we've been doing with the Binance Smart Chain, what we've done with others, there are options that are out there. Cosmos was early with they were doing spooning with potentially spooning with ETH. I'm not sure. I have to double check where they're at because I think they got delayed on that or something like that. But I think a good rule of thumb is if a network is doing, looking at wrapping or any other kind of transmutation of ERC20 support, that should be there. We want that to be everywhere. The attention economy is huge. And we also, there's a benefit to having multi-chain support in that if there is a better deal for our users on another chain that we can support, we should support it. I think that a good first step is just DEX aggregator, right? Where we can, surface a good deal. But if there's a job you're trying to do where you can get an even better deal, we should be surfacing that. I think those are good long-term objectives. So no, it doesn't fully answer the question. I mean, I think, in general with SDKs, it's a process. We don't do them a lot because one, we have some pretty tough requirements around that stuff. We don't want to be shipping dark blobs in Brave as little as possible, because, of our open source ethos. So, anytime you're talking about an SDK integration, there's quite a bit of review and Q&A and all that has to happen. So I hope that helps. Let's see here. Luke, will the BAT from your Brave Rewards wallets be integrated in with the crypto wallet when it comes out, or is that against KYC regulations? It seems like with KYC regulation, the fact that rewards are paid out in a separate off-chain wallet, that it would not be possible without an exchange as an intermediary. So let me answer that. we will have to be compliant with the law, right? And we're a U.S. company, and we can't break the law, right? Like so, when we're talking about a system where you have dollars flowing in or people self-funding their wallets, where you have things that could mix together, right? Like if you want to take that out of the ecosystem, regulators have been clear that there is some KYC compliance requirements involved with that. So you will see that rewards will be included with other options within our unified wallet, but we won't be breaking regulatory compliance measures, et cetera. That said, I mean, there are features in works for peer-to-peer on-chain tipping and things like that will be part of the ecosystem. But with rewards, with what we've got now in the current status, we're probably going to have to continue doing. We'll have to keep abiding by the law. Basically, like if we could break that and be the coolest Puritans out there, and then we would be putting the company at risk. So we're not going to do that. Someone have an audio question, because I'm hearing something audio, and I hope it is, because I'm doom scrolling myself on chat. Maybe not. Robert Masunzu, do you want to say something? Or Drew?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, jump in.
Yep. So I just wanted to know if the BAT SDK was still in the plan. Back in the roadmap 1.0, there was a plan to ship a BAT SDK. Is the plan for BAT to expand beyond Brave and be used with other applications?
Yes, that it's definitely something we want to do. As far as prioritizing when that happens, it's still deeper on the roadmap, I think, than what we do. Like where we're looking at, what we kind of looked at with the roadmap 2.0 is like, I mean, we have needs as a business, and some of these are selfish, right? Like we want to have Brave be successful, and at the same time too, showing the utility range within Brave is the key first step to shipping an SDK. If we can ship an SDK that includes SKUs for payments, includes ad support, includes a wallet, other things, right? Like then you've got a really robust play there that can be used in a variety of different applications. I think that there are certain risks involved too with shipping an SDK within certain circumstances that we had to get a better understanding of. I think just to be completely honest, right? Like nobody's done really what we're doing in the way we're doing it before. So a lot of things around looking at like how adversaries are going to approach that ecosystem, right? Like, and then thinking about it and, breaking that down into like, okay, well, in a scenario with an SDK, like, what is this going to look like, right? But I think that initially it's like very much focused on continuing to build BAT and Brave like together. And I think, in the meantime, what we're most likely to see outside of Brave is like, where can we add BAT into DeFi? Like, how can we use BAT better in DeFi in other areas? Like, you're seeing some of these things with Brave products that you can use outside of the browser, and integrating BAT in those products, is kind of a first foray into some of this. But also with search, right? Like with search, it's another experience where you can see Brave outside of the Brave browser and then, come and get a better tuned experience directly in Brave, right? So, like this isn't the best answer that everybody wants to hear, but, it's on the plan. It's just deeper in the plan because, to be honest, we're building an ecosystem right now that is best built directly in Brave at first, so we can, then take it out of Brave. So I hope that helps. It's not like, the best nearest term thing, but it is something that we definitely are intend to do, in the long run.
Yep, that makes sense. And just as a second question related to that, is Brave intending to ship new products independently of the browser? So, for example, with Brave Talk, could we envision that being its own application, or the wallet itself being its own app on on mobile, for example.
Yeah. I think that's definitely like we've already kind of done that with well, not necessarily with the VPN, right? Like, but yeah, like talk is one of those things where you will be able, if you're a Firefox user, right? And why aren't you on Brave? But if you're a Firefox user or a Chrome user, you can buy a premium package for Brave Talk and use it in Chrome or Firefox, right? Like, so these options are there. Like, it's a great way for us to grow the business and bring Brave. It's also interesting because we have had, this Brave Talk proof of concept out there for a little over a year. And we were working with a professor at John Abbott College up in Montreal. And he was saying, like, look, they're, basically like our head of public relations is making our video conferencing solutions decisions because Zoom and some of these services have been so bad for our students, right? Like with things like Zoom bombing, et cetera. Even as a proof of concept, this guy had his students install Brave just to use it. And people kind of installed it as a purpose of a video conferencing that had a browser attached to it. And they saw a lot of success with that. They liked it a lot. And I think that the cool thing for Brave with these new product offerings is that it gives us a way to connect with people that isn't as, it doesn't have the hot cognitive load of like moving an entire web browser, which is like, switching cars. It's more like, hey, try this thing out. It's Brave. You like what you got? Here, come try this whole ecosystem out over here. Oh, you want to kick out big tech? Here's a whole stack. You can just like port all your stuff over here and move to a solution where, it's more in line with your incentives as a user. So yeah, that's a much more practical and achievable goal to do both on our own and with certain strategic partners like with Guardian, with the VPN, and on the talk side with partner that we're working with there. And so yeah, I think that you definitely see more of that in the future. And I think search is a good kind of another step in that direction where, hey, people are using, more private search options. Here's a new twist on it from Brave. If you like what you get, come get the browser, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah. No problem. Black. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm butchering that every time. Just yes. If anyone else has a vocal question, just jump in.
Yes, this was another question another Anon had. So he asked, the way things are now, without Themis, people receive VBATs when they view an advertisement, which they can redeem for real BAT by going through Uphold and soon Gemini. Does Brave always does Brave always buy enough BAT from exchanges to back every VBAT with real BAT? What happens to the VBAT that someone has in their browser if they uninstall Brave or if they die, for instance?
Right.
Does Brave take that BAT back that backs that VBAT?
No, it's a great question, right? Like, and I'm glad you asked it. So, there's a couple of different, without getting into the legalese too far, right? Like, if we're granting BAT, like virtual BAT, through to a user that is fairly anonymized, right? That hasn't gone through compliance process, we treat that as an obligation that we are required to deliver on, right? And there are certain statutes, a limitation, things like that. Some of this is in fine print, but realistically, like, we make sure that we have enough to cover obligations, like, because, we don't want to deal with, one, it's good business practice. Like, you shouldn't be overextended, right? Like, and two, you never know when somebody wants to claim something. And we have users that have been using the browsers for a long time. And now there are instances, right, where, people lose devices, things like that virtual BAT becomes unclaimable. And if it's a case where it's, BAT granted from viewing ads, if it's something where you're contributing your own BAT, right, that's coming through a compliant channel where you have KYC, because that's how the system works, right? So anytime where you're putting something in that you might have bought or purchased, blah, blah, like that's a different class or a different state, right? But virtual bat earn from ads, like, there's a certain amount of time where, it's reasonable that somebody's not going to claim that. We haven't clawed anything back like that. And I'm not sure on what the planning is for that in the future. I know that if something like that were to happen, there would be a lot of public, FYI, out there for that. But yeah, just to answer the question, we know what the obligations are, and we make sure that we are covered on those obligations because it's important to make sure of that. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Luke.
Sure. Good idea, Batty Boy, on the shared whiteboard PowerPoint feature. There will be some interesting stuff. I don't know if we've talked about this. Well, I'm going to hold off on doing this until this feature stuff, but cool stuff that is similar to what you're talking about for Brave Talk. And it's not long before you'll have to see that is, but I'm not going to blow it and get people mad at me and say things that I shouldn't say. When will search move out of beta? Random biz tarts. When will search move out of beta, and when will ads start running on it? I don't have a specific date on beta. I know it's soon, like months, not year. And when will ads start running on it? Again, probably months, not year. Probably more disclosure on that soon. And you can expect there'll be options for less or more ads, et cetera, that will come with that. So hope that helps answer that. I know there's Ace Lowell's had a question. What's the end of year goal for DAU and MAU? Until I hear otherwise, I haven't heard otherwise. We're confident about the 50 million monthly active user target that we put in the roadmap. If something like that changes, well, you guys know, but I don't know. I know it's a tough bill to fill, but I think that we can do it. Like I've said on Twitter, elsewhere, the wind's in our backs. Like privacy is there. Crypto is warming back up. There was a lot of doom around, the correction that happened earlier in May. But there's so much in these markets now, and there's so much invested in and careers wise that it's a different game now. So if we keep doing what we're doing and then, add in a really aggressive marketing campaign on top of that, which the team is working on, that's the right formula. You got the right ingredients. I think we can hit it. I'll be going ham either way, you guys. So it's just so you know. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about billboards, and trust me, we've been talking about billboards internally too. I think the brand marketing will get stepped up. So just stand by. I know I keep saying that, but it is summertime too, so it's kind of slow time in the year. There we go. Can we get Brave Mail? That would be the final nail in the coffin for my connection to Google. I would like to get rid of my Gmail. Proton Mail just doesn't have the greatest UI. It's an often requested feature. I would love it too. I think it's a tough thing to do. We're interested in doing it. We're exploring it. I can't really say much more than that right now. But yeah, it's definitely top of mind. I mean, and Brendan said this before too. It's we're looking at this as a privacy stack, right? You want to be able to just port over, and having all the nails for the coffin is important. So, in some form, we'll want to deliver on some iteration of that soon. I don't have details as to specifically what that is. But yeah, that's definitely top of mind. When Brave search goggles, I'm not totally sure. I will find out. I will let you guys know. I know it's been worked on, but I just don't have a specific date on that. Will self-serve ads be coming soon? Yes, regional rollout, working on it now. Got more people on my team. They're getting trained up really quickly. I would say in the next, most likely the next month or two, we will be doing the regional rollout. A month or two, might be two, but anyway, we've got a lot going on, right? So but it's definitely something that we are focusing on now and want to get out there because it helps with that utility. It helps to, scale up certain markets where, our sellers aren't focused on selling ads. And, I've been wanting it for a long time too. So, all right. What's regional? USA, state per state? No. So when I say regional, it's basically look, what countries do we have the, look at how we released Brave ads, right? We released it in 5 countries first, then expanded out to something like, low 20s, then high 30s, then eventually kept iterating out to like over 190, where we're at now. So we probably see are a set of countries that we have a good amount of users in, and good ad demand in, and then and not a lot of sales focus, and go after those countries first. And where can we support them? Both like with making sure that we are localized to handle that support and et cetera. But the U.S. will be pretty soon after that. I think in with the U.S. too, you might see us doing something like rolling out self-serve support for creators that are verified, like first as a first step. I think with something like this with the U.S. too, we really want to get it right, and make sure that we have everything in place to scale it quickly, because I suspect it will. So I hope that helps. It's not the best answer that everybody wants, but it's the reality. I mean, like our biggest problem right now, just to be extremely candid, is that like our ad business has grown extremely fast. Like our sellers and account managers and operations teams have been doing an awesome job with scaling the advertising business, and the users have been growing a lot too. But like, we need to increase that. And we are bringing new ad units to market. I don't know if you guys have seen this on desktop and iOS, but we have Brave News ads that are out now, which we've been testing them in nightly and in beta, but now they're in our release channel. And you'll see more ad units showing up, and that's one way we can address available supply. But really we need to scale this on the user side big time. So yeah, that'll come. If you haven't seen a Brave News ad, update the browser maybe. Like we're doing some testing there. So I think one of the things I've been finding on the Brave News ads is that we've been serving them pretty quickly. So if you haven't seen one yet, you'll probably see one tomorrow. So keep scrolling through. Don't just look at one or two, like keep scrolling. If you haven't seen one today, you'll see one probably tomorrow. Have there been any progress on interactive ads like the POC you presented with Toyota? Yeah, there have been progress on it. I think that we've been working with a partner on some survey options for things like that. Our design teams put together some kind of learn and earn concepts. So yeah, there's been some progress on both of those things. I think that the other area where there's been progress has been around our notification format. So everything has been on operating system notification for the ads we've been serving so far. Right now, we are A/B testing custom notifications. We're starting with just text, just to have parity with what we've got now. What you can start to see us do there is go way deeper, right? Like if with the custom notification format, you could have something where you click to learn more. It basically could click to expand a modal that goes, full screen with rich media embedded in it. And you could have some of those features where you can learn and earn, or you could watch a video, or you could buy directly from the ad without having to leave the tab you're in. These are things we're thinking about seriously right now, and things that we're putting work towards. But it's a process, and I think that with the engagement rates that we have and the conversion rates that we have, it's something where we want to make sure, and this is why it's kind of taken a while, is that we want to make sure that when we cut over, that we have as minimal negative impact as possible, and hopefully positive impact on that switchover initially. So getting there has been a process, but we're eager to kind of get more options out there. We want people to earn more BAT any way we can get them to earn more BAT. And so, we have a web compatibility program that we started to roll out to the BAT ambassadors that I think we'll start to roll out more widely too. So if people run into issues with basically like, oh, I ran into a site that's broken that I use all the time, like stuff like that, or the credit card thing doesn't work here, or the video player doesn't work, or whatever, you can submit bugs or submit those web compat issues and get a bug bounty for those. Things like that. I mean, like compatibility has been a big thing we've been focused on. It's never going to go away. It's something you always want to have a finger on the pulse of. So, bounty programs for that, new ways that people can earn BAT. And some of these things might be scrappy where, hey, like with the web compat program, like we're like, okay, put in what your Twitter handle is, your verified Twitter handle, right? So that way we can just go tip you directly through our existing, mechanism, and then building in new functionality based on how these things go. But I hope that answers the question.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah.
So here's more, I don't know, maybe somewhat of a personal question slash not a technical question anyways. So more about that. And I mean, do you guys like those of us that have, bought BAT and been holding it for a while? Obviously, you guys as a team sitting there getting, working on this thing, and then you see, dog shit coin token, go, crazy value wise, whereas BAT, I mean, obviously it's gone up, over the years, but maybe not as much as some of those. Or you look at Doge for 20, 30 times the market cap of BAT. I mean, is that discouraging to you guys, or is it just like, it's just stupid stuff, and we're doing, because we have these 30 million users, Brave, and obviously the ones that are in rewards or whatever it is, but what's you guys' take on that? What do you say to like people that have been holding it for the 3 years and waiting on this thing kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, right? Like, and this just, let me just this is my own point of view, right? Like, I'm not going to say this on behalf of the company, but I mean, like, there are some days where I'm cringing that we're not a top 10 because of what we have, what we built, and the amount of people that have used it, right? Like, there are others where it's like, look, I mean, we've also been around for a while, right? Like, I watched, and many of you all watched, like 2017 to 18, like something like 2,000 to 3,000 tokens pop up from nowhere, and most of them are dead now, or on life support, or on an earn somewhere, on someone, whatever. This is a long game, like, and what has me, when I used to get frustrated at this stuff, what I really got frustrated with more than that was not being able to talk about it as much. And some of that recently changed. Like, we put a new focus on BAT, mid last year. Like, we've always been all about it. But, the regulatory landscape was so uncertain for so long that, we didn't talk about it as much as we should have, right? Like, and I think that, there's always a focus on building. I think that's a key focus, right? Like, where I'm coming from with this is like, it's a waiting game at this point. Like, if we can execute on growth and on building in the things we are building on, and we have really good people that are building on those things, and many of them are available on Twitter talking about this stuff too, right? Like, this is something I'm really confident about us getting to top 20s and 10s. Like there's no one with an antidote like we have to all of the just nonsense going on in the digital world right now, and real world, for what it's worth. I mean, like, every day I go and look and see more of like the doomsday scenario playing out, where like now I'm looking and seeing, government officials on television talking about, why won't we just disqualify somebody from every platform if they're seen as, giving misinformation? And it's like, nuts. Like, and I personally talked to hundreds of creators over the past, several years about this, of all stripes, not even like everybody from people that like review horror movies to like, super squeaky clean people, to like people that are into reptiles and people into other things, right? Like, and they're all feeling some sense of sting from this. And it's like, you see that happening while you also see in parallel these companies becoming more profitable and having more market dominance at the same time. And it's like, it's just a powder keg, right? But there's no one to strike the match. And I think that what we have is like, we have the match, we have a bottle of kerosene, and it's just a matter of time before those two things meet up. And there is no shortage of powder spilling over that keg at this point. I think, nobody's really sure what they can say anymore or what they can do anymore without getting demonetized. People are getting a better idea, but like, there should be a place where people can just go create and not have to like worry about that. It's there's so many similarities between the privacy situation, where like, there have been studies about people self-censoring when they have somebody looking over their shoulder, right? And then the same respect, like when you have a platform looking over your shoulder and penalizing you based on what you're saying, or potentially shutting you out, everything's gonna get boring, and who wants to be part of that, right? Like, and so the stuff we're doing is extremely foundational right now, but Brave remains a neutral player. Like, they're as long as it's not dealing with violence or whatever, like, or violating policies which aren't they're tame compared to what these platforms are doing now. Like, we're giving people the tools and the place to grow, and it takes a while, but like, I think with some of these moves we've made, it's showing that the direction's there. Like, and Brendan's been saying this for a long time, like, do it from the edge, right? Whether that's ad serving, whether that's, disseminating content. And if you're talented and you have a following, like, Brave can be a place where you can hook up following up. And then we get to the right scale. Brave's a place where you grow that audience. Brave's a place, and we've already done that with some creators. And, we'll have case studies on this, but like, yeah, I hope that helps answer the question. It's super broad or whatever, but, I think, what we're doing is pretty important for privacy and for business online too. And if you want to have an environment where people can create small businesses for themselves, right?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I'm not trying to make you think that I'm, quitting or anything. I'm just
no, I wouldn't think that anyway. I mean, hey, look. As frustrating as it might be on some days for me, I'm in the guts of this thing. like I know what we're doing, right? Like, so I can imagine it's frustrating, right? Like, and I think that, it's said this before, it's like the cream rises to the top, and it's like, if you are looking for something that's going to 30x overnight or whatever, like, more power to you. Like, but if you're looking to get in early on the future of the attention economy, like, that's what we're doing here. Like, and maybe that's it's not meme coin material, but like, it's real and it's out there. And so, like, I totally get it where people are coming from. Like, we deal with this all the time, right? Like, and it is, that's why, like, the folks that we have are like amazing, because people that are just diehards and they see it. And especially now, though, I think now's this time where things are resonating, where people are like, whoa, wait, I thought we were just going to ban like hardcore right wingers, like, and now you've got people on across the spectrum that are getting, penalized, right? Like, this is kind of at this point where it's manifesting in a different way and impacting a lot of new people. And, for us to be able to have a place where, hey, at a minimum, plug your RSS feed in here, right? Like connect that way, or tell your people to do that, right? Like, or whatever, like these options will surface over time. Like, some of these things are also wait and see, because it's a weird time we're in right now with content creation and the web. And it's kind of like, it's an intermediate phase right now where, companies have the power to throw a president off of their platform, which is insane when you think about it. But at the same time, like, there's going to be a lower bound on this too, where, gosh, a lot of false positives, a lot of people getting banned for stupid stuff. And then while this is all happening, people are throwing in weird algorithms on top of that too. So it's a weird situation right now. And I think that this is where it comes down to just fundamentals. Like, are you creating an open web? Are you creating a platform that is making the open web accessible? And then are you creating, an ecosystem where people can earn in that in those conditions? And I think we're doing all three of those things. And doesn't look like a turnkey thing necessarily right now. But also, like, there's nothing stopping a developer for building on top of what we're doing. Whether that's, hey, like, I'm a verified creator, you support me that way, or whatever, there are options out there now, but I think you'll see more and more of that too. And I think that, it's this problem's not going away, and we put ourselves out there, and we're not going anywhere except for up. So.
Sure. No, I appreciate it. Always, like usual, well said. I'm just grateful. Yeah, you guys are going to get more into the DeFi stuff, so that way we can just let it grow until we get to that point. Kind of like Black Alakan was saying, if we can, just get it on more places and more DeFi options and things like that, then the better. So appreciate it.
Yeah, totally agree too, by the way. And I think that DeFi is kind of like a good natural fit too, because we already have support in Compound and MakerDAO, other places too. And yeah, I think that, that's it's a good area for us to look in. I think this new wallet, I'm just so stoked on what we're doing with it, because somebody asked like, Luke, what does Web3 mean to you? I think like a lot of what we're doing with Brave and with the wallet is really kind of driving what Web3 is home. It basically kind of like taking user first principles and kind of self sovereignty and whatever you want to call it, right? Like, but basically like, hey, I'm a person, I'm independent, and I'm going to control over my own things, right? Destiny online, and creating a platform or that allows for somebody to do that in a platform that puts those principles first. And a lot of this has been around privacy first, but these things are related. Banking for yourself. I'm hardcore into DeFi, and like I get excited about it every day because these are like power tools for the population to do some pretty amazing things to turn their lives around. And first movers will do well with this stuff, but this will get distilled down into like a format that's consumable by everyday people and will bring value to their lives. And we've seen that with ads, and especially in people in countries, in certain countries in the world where they're like collecting a certain amount of BAT every month that's really making a meaningful impact on their lives. And I think that's the right thing. Like if we can do that with giving people agency and empowerment, like that's what it's all about. Like, and it's not that crazy of a thing. But with Web3, it's like you're giving people the protocols to have that control that they don't have with, Web2 or centralized systems where, you've got the intermediary. And I know it's ironic for me to say that, but I'm unironically saying it because like, there are just realities all over the place. Like, but we very much are a part of like, subscribe to this Web3 kind of decentralized ethos, and it's something that we're, and that's evident, right? Like we have, ENS support, IPFS, the stuff with the wallet. I mean, and I keep talking about the wallet, but like really, that's like a huge part, right? Like you go from a monthly active user to a monthly rewards user to a monthly rewards user that's transacting, right? Like in the wallet, you have a way to connect people that are putting a credit card in something to all these new options that are out there with Web3, whether it's, through a custodian or whether it's through, their own Web3 wallet, in the browser. So anyway, I hope that helps. But yeah, that's what it means to me. Let's see here. Anyone else have, let me look, I'm just going through these questions. Brave will never promote itself on the crypto price, as they shouldn't. That's where 4chaners can create TikToks to pump the price, blah, blah, blah. That's not a question. There we go. Any plan to give BAT rewards for playing games, like some games in the crypto market? Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think that it's an area where we've been, partnering with a lot of blockchain gaming companies like Splinterlands and Gala Games and others that are in the space just to kind of explore it. And I think that gaming is a sector like in the browser that you will see us build more in with BAT and do more things around. I think, kind of figuring out what that looks like. We've done some of this with Gala and Splinterlands, whether it's BAT tournaments or, paying for NFTs with BAT, et cetera. There will be more options like that out there. I think that, being able to earn BAT while playing a game is super interesting and something that we're looking at doing too. So yeah, that'll come probably next year. At the soonest, but something we're looking at. What are the chances that Google Play delists Brave? I think that they always have that chance to do it. I think that it would be incredibly stupid for them to do it, but that's just my own 2 cents. It's no better way to show that you're not open to variety than to shut out somebody that's competing. So yeah. Mid-sized podcast that hardcore fan bases seem like a perfect spot to advertise Brave. Any plans on doing that? I think that's a great question. I totally agree. And yeah, there are plans to do that. I don't have specifics on it, but I know that I'm looking at what's going on in like Austin and other areas with independent media kind of bubbling up that are, anytime you see independent media, like people should be thinking, well, there's an opportunity for Bravenbat. That's where I'm coming from. And I think that that's just growing. If there's any sign that people are sick of what's going on, like seeing, the Substacks and seeing podcasts and all this stuff emerging right now is the biggest signal, that these existing players in the space are just not of interest anymore. People are looking for new sources of information that are not the same stenographer garbage that they're hearing every day from more mainstream outlets. So hope that helps. Yeah, I love a good list of folks. Let's see here. Advertise Brave on the radio. Hear a lot of DDG on PR. We actually did do that too. I think we are this part of the plan. Like, I think the marketing plan is like, a mix of a lot more brand marketing and then some performance stuff too. So, where do you hear? I think we want to hear Brave on every kitchen table, right? And you got to hit people where they are to do that. So, what podcast do I listen to, if any? I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like Lex Friedman. I listen to Tim Dillon and Joe Rogan occasionally. I listen to a bunch of other stuff too. I'm like all over the place with music and podcasts. What I kind of try to do is like look at a little bit of everything and then form a viewpoint on it. So hope that helps. I agree. Like Tim Dillon is awesome. I think he's one of the best comics that's come out in a long time. Let's see here. Do I like cats or dogs? I like dogs. We have a fish. No dogs yet. I got kids. They're small. They would love dogs. Okay. Let's see here. Can you explain the amount of manpower, token migration, writing contract, and backlogging everything else the project would take to rename the basic attention token? A lot of people seem to be complaining about it. I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I've said this before, right? Like, and I'll say it again. Like, usually people rebrand when something has been so horrible that it requires it, because I mean, look at our situation too. Like, you got the creator of JavaScript co-founding, Brave and launching the BAT. And not only did we launch a token, at the time it was a historic token raise sale that we did, where we sold a lot really quickly. And then on top of that, like delivering the first global private ad platform with the token is. I mean, these are things that may not have gotten proper attention, but are things that are tied to the basic attention token that I don't think you want to get rid of. I mean, I know a lot of people are not, some people are not fans, other people like it. So it's a mixed bag, and volume varies depending on the channel. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really dumb for us to do that right now. That's just my own 2 cents. But, also, gosh, like, yeah, every exchange would have to change this, and, it's just a nightmare. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think like BAT's cool too. I mean, like, you can BAT meme it up. It's good. Need Barstool Sports and Newsmax on Brave News. That's good. I will let the team know that those are sources they would like to see. All right. What else do we got? Any other questions from the audience? I'm kind of doom scrolling the chat too, but. All right. If I missed your question in the chat, speak up. I'm kind of scrolling through. I don't see many that haven't been answered already, but yeah, otherwise, I am pretty parched, so I might bail at this point, but this has been awesome, everyone. I'll give everyone a couple minutes or a minute maybe to drop in any other. When will full decks come? I don't have a specific date on that. I think the first focus is to get the swap feature fully featured into the new wallet on desktop and mobile, and then we'll go from there. Which is a big deal and will be huge. This thing is awesome. I can't wait for more people to use it. It's really cool. Yeah. All right. Thanks all. I think I'll cut it there. Or wait a minute. Any plans for advertisers to accept their browser tokens to purchase their products? That is a great question. That's part of what we're doing with the SKUs project. And we are looking for advertisers that are open to that. Part of that is about getting the SKU feature out there first, and foremost. And then, yeah, I think that, one of the cool things about what we're doing, and this kind of ties in with what I was talking about around custom notifications earlier, is if we can cut down the friction between seeing something you want and buying something you want, that's a win, huge win, because, every step between seeing something, advertised and actually transacting on it cuts down on the likelihood that someone will convert on it. If we can have a payment button into an ad, right? Like for us, if we have the new wallet that has, BAT integrated in it, putting a SKU for that button is something that definitely seems in the realm possibility. So I think that it could be piloted with a specific advertiser, but it could be something where from a broader level, you're able to just make a purchase choice as a user. I'm going to pay with BAT from my BAT in my wallet, or I'm going to pay with my credit card, right? And so that should be the way it goes. But yeah, supercharger features, locking tokens to receive APY, anything similar considered for BAT. Lots have been considered for BAT that are similar to that. We were looking at this earlier on around staking. We're looking at this with the swaps, rewards stuff, and I'm talking with DeFi protocols about working on something that involves BAT with something similar to that. So don't have more specifics on that. Some of these things are kind of works in progress and are getting addressed with legal, et cetera. But well, let me just tell you guys, like it's like Bravenbat and DeFi are like where I'm living these days, right? I am as excited as anybody else to get this new wallet out and to open up new on-ramps for DeFi directly from this thing, to work on deals with DeFi protocols that could involve BAT, that could involve different rewards mechanisms or other benefits of doing these things through Brave. Like, this is where we're going. This is where we want to go. Like, tell folks that's where we want to go, because that's where our heads are at. So, there's all the utility in the ecosystem. And then there's BAT support in DeFi and in other, protocols and areas. And these are all things we want to do. And so, right now we're so focused on kind of getting everything wired up so that you can have the data, the stuff flow through, BAT flow through in these different channels and all that directly through the browser. So cool. All right. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to answer some of these, but yeah.
Is there like a time frame, or have you mentioned like a time frame for the new wallet?
Yeah, so right now it's looking like it'll land in rounds. The first version of it will land around in September. It's looking like, of course, like could be a little after that, but yeah, it's like our CTO and our wallet team are just going ham on building this. Our design team's heavily involved. Like it's a like really big priority right now. So, and the progress they've been making on it's been awesome. So yeah, I think, they're guesstimating September-ish. I would say that's probably good. Maybe buffer that to October, given it's software development, but
yeah, no, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. All right, folks. I will not going to answer NFT pick questions, so I think that's a wrap. Thanks all. We'll have another one in 2 weeks. I'll get a guest in here and from the team, and good times. Take care, all.
2 more weeks. Trust the plan.